Stories of Kindness, a collection. The Acorn's Promise. Every Sunday, 10-year-old Sam met his grandfather at their favorite bench in Maple Grove Park. Today, the autumn air was crisp, and the trees blazed with orange and gold, their leaves dancing in the gentle breeze like nature's confetti. "Look what I found, Grandpa!" Sam exclaimed, pulling something from his pocket. He held up a perfectly smooth acorn, still wearing its little cap. "It's the biggest one I've ever seen." Grandpa's eyes twinkled as he examined the treasure, turning it over in his weathered hands. The acorn was indeed remarkable, smooth as polished wood and heavy with promise. "You know, Sam, when I was your age, my grandfather told me that acorns hold special promises." "What kind of promises?" "Well," Grandpa said, settling back on the bench with a thoughtful expression, "he said that if you make a wish on an acorn and plant it with someone you love, that wish grows stronger every year the tree grows. The roots dig deeper into the earth, just like love digs deeper into our hearts." Sam's face lit up like sunrise. "Can we plant this one together?" "I thought you'd never ask," Grandpa chuckled, pulling out a small trowel he'd secretly brought along in his jacket pocket. "What will you wish for?" Sam thought for a moment, looking at his grandfather's kind face, noting the laugh lines around his eyes and the way his beard was silver like moonlight. "I wish we could have Sunday adventures together for a really, really long time." "That," said Grandpa, his voice thick with emotion, "sounds like the perfect wish for our acorn." Together, they walked to the edge of the park where the groundskeeper, Mrs. Chen, had given them special permission to plant. She had watched their Sunday ritual for months and understood the importance of their tradition. Sam dug a small hole while Grandpa watched, offering gentle guidance. "Not too deep now," Grandpa said. "An acorn needs to feel the sun calling to it from above, and the earth welcoming it from below." Sam carefully placed the acorn in the earth and covered it with soil. As he patted it down with his small hands, he whispered his wish again, just to be sure the universe heard him. "Grandpa, what did you wish for when you planted an acorn with your grandfather?" Grandpa was quiet for a moment, his eyes distant as he traveled back through decades of memories. "I wished to be the kind of grandfather he was to me, patient, kind, full of stories and wisdom." He smiled and ruffled Sam's hair. "I think that wish came true." As they walked back to their bench, Sam slipped his small hand into his grandfather's weathered one. The contrast between their hands told a story of generations, one hand smooth and unmarked by time, the other carrying the gentle scars and lines of a life well lived. "How long do you think it takes for an oak tree to grow?" "Oh, about 70 years to reach full size," Grandpa replied, settling back onto their bench. "But the beautiful thing is, it starts growing the moment you believe in it. Every day, even when we can't see it, those roots are reaching deeper, that trunk is getting stronger." Sam squeezed his grandfather's hand tighter. "Then someday, I'll bring my grandkids here and show them our tree. And you'll tell them about wishes and acorns and Sunday adventures," Grandpa said softly, his voice carrying the weight of legacy and love. "Yes," Sam nodded solemnly. "And about the best grandfather in the whole world." Years passed, and the acorn grew into a sapling, then a young tree. Sam visited it every Sunday, sometimes with Grandpa, sometimes alone when Grandpa was too tired. Even after Grandpa passed away, Sam continued the tradition, bringing his own children to the tree that had grown tall and strong. And when his hair turned silver like moonlight, Sam found himself on the same bench with his grandson, sharing the story of wishes and acorns and the grandfather who taught him that love grows deeper every year, just like the roots of their special tree. The library angel. Martha had worked at the downtown library for 37 years, and in all that time, she had never met a book she couldn't find or a question she couldn't answer. Her colleagues called her the library angel, because she seemed to appear whenever someone needed help, as if summoned by some mystical force that connected her to every patron who walked through those heavy oak doors. On this particular Tuesday morning in November, Martha was reshelving returns when she noticed him, a young man, maybe 25, sitting at one of the corner tables with his head in his hands. His shoulders shook slightly, and she could see that several crumpled tissues lay scattered around him like fallen petals. Martha had learned over the decades that sometimes people came to libraries not just for books, but for sanctuary. Libraries were safe spaces, quiet harbors in storms of life. She approached slowly, her soft-soled shoes making no sound on the worn carpet. "Excuse me, dear," she said gently, "is there anything I can help you find today?" The young man looked up, his eyes red-rimmed and weary. "I'm sorry," he said, hastily gathering the tissues. "I know I shouldn't be. I mean, this isn't really the place for." "Nonsense," Martha said firmly, pulling out a chair and sitting down beside him. "Libraries are for people, and people sometimes need a quiet place to think." "I'm Martha. What's your name?" "David," he said, managing a weak smile. I've been looking for a job for 8 months now. I have interviews, but nothing ever works out. I graduated with honors, I have good references, but..." He trailed off, staring at his hands. Martha nodded thoughtfully. "What field are you in, David?" "Graphic design. I thought it would be different, you know. I thought creativity mattered more than whatever it is I'm missing." Martha was quiet for a moment, then stood up. "Stay right here. I'll be back in just a few minutes." She disappeared into the stacks, moving with the purpose of someone on a mission. When she returned, she carried not books, but a laptop and a small stack of business cards. "David, I've been here a long time, and I've learned something important. Sometimes the help we need comes from unexpected places. My nephew owns a marketing firm downtown. They've been looking for a graphic designer for months. But more than that, I know 17 local business owners who come to our community book club every month. They're always talking about needing marketing materials, logos, websites." David stared at her, hope flickering in his tired eyes like a candle being lit. Martha opened the laptop and began typing. "Now, I'm going to send some emails. But first, I want you to tell me about your best design work. What are you most proud of?" For the next hour, Martha listened as David's confidence slowly returned. She took notes as he described his portfolio, asked questions that helped him articulate his strengths, and gradually transformed his despair into determination. By the time they were finished, Martha had arranged 3 meetings for David, one with her nephew, one with the owner of the coffee shop next door who had been complaining about his outdated logo for years, and one with the president of the local chamber of commerce who happened to be her Tuesday afternoon chess partner. "Mrs. Martha," David said as he prepared to leave, his eyes bright with tears of gratitude rather than despair, "why would you do all this for a complete stranger?" Martha smiled, the kind of smile that contained decades of wisdom. "David, dear, I've watched thousands of people walk through these doors over the years. Some come looking for information, some come looking for escape, and some come looking for hope. Today, you came looking for hope, and hope is something I've always had in abundant supply." 6 months later, David returned to the library. He found Martha at her usual post behind the reference desk and placed a small wrapped package in front of her. "It's from my first freelance client," he said, grinning widely. "Thanks to you, I'm booked solid for the next 3 months." Martha unwrapped the package to find a beautiful leather bookmark engraved with the words, "The Library Angel," and the date of their first meeting. "David, this is lovely, but you didn't need to." "Yes, I did," he interrupted gently. "Because you taught me something that day. You taught me that kindness multiplies. Every design I create now, I try to put a little piece of what you gave me into it, that spirit of helping someone become their best self." Martha looked at the bookmark, then at David's smiling face, and felt that familiar warmth that came from knowing she had done exactly what she was meant to do. She had been a library angel once again, and the ripples of that kindness would continue spreading in ways she might never know. As David left that day, Martha noticed an elderly gentleman at a nearby table, staring confused at a computer screen. She slipped the new bookmark between the pages of her daily planner and walked over to him. "Is there anything I can help you find today?" she asked gently, and the cycle of kindness began anew. The Midnight Baker. At 3 a.m., most of the city slept, but Elena Rodriguez was just beginning her day. She had owned Sunrise Bakery for 15 years, and every morning she arrived in the pre-dawn darkness to begin the sacred ritual of transforming flour, water, and yeast into the bread that would nourish her neighborhood. Elena loved these quiet hours before the world woke up. The only sounds were the gentle hum of her ovens, the rhythmic kneading of dough, and the soft jazz that played from her ancient radio. She found peace in the predictable magic of baking, the way simple ingredients became something greater than the sum of their parts through patience, heat, and love. This particular morning, as she pulled the first loaves of sourdough from the oven, she heard something unusual, the soft crying of a child. Elena paused, listening carefully. There it was again, definitely a child, and it seemed to be coming from the alley behind her bakery. Elena wiped her floury hands on her apron and stepped out the back door. Huddled beside her dumpster, she found a little girl who couldn't have been more than 7 years old. She wore a thin jacket over pajamas, and her small feet were bare except for fuzzy slippers that were now soaked from the morning dew. "Mija," Elena said softly, crouching down to the child's level, "what are you doing out here so early?" The little girl looked up with huge, frightened eyes. "I couldn't sleep," she whispered. "Mama and Papa were yelling again, and I got scared, so I came outside. But now I don't know how to get back home." Elena's heart ached for this